So that leads me to my questions. Like, do you have any plans for like the kids in Harrodsburg? Like, do you want to build like an ice skating ring or something like that, just for like so they don't have to travel to Danville?
I think the kids need to decide what they want. When I was a kid, we wanted different things than you guys want today. And that's another thing we need to do. We need to listen to kids.
Mm-hmm.
How are you ever going to get kids involved in stuff if you don't sit down and talk to them and listen to them?
Yeah.
Kids, I want the kids to be educated. I want them to have a good work ethic. I want them to be smart and healthy and live a long, prosperous life. My goal would be to live long enough to see you grow up, make a good living, have a family and a nice home, live right here in Harrisburg. I told my son when he graduated from high school, and this kind of broke my heart, I said, Will, I want you to go get a good education and find a place to settle where you can provide for your family and have a good life. And he looked me right now and he said, Dad, that won't be here. And I said, I'm sorry. And it's not here. He owns his own insurance agency now in Lexington. He graduated from Transylvania. He wanted to kind of follow footsteps of the old man, so he got into banking. He did commercial lending. He moved over to the securities industry. He worked there for a couple of years, and now he went to the insurance agency business. And he did that with big companies, BB&T to start with, and Morgan Stanley, so he could learn from the big guys how this works. And now he's got his own insurance agency. He's doing pretty well for a Freeman.
Or we had a couple of, believe it or not, when people heard you were coming, we had people submit questions.
Oh, boy.
They had but these are pretty easy. But just, I think mayor questions. We had a couple. What is the mayor's hours? And can you ever go on vacation? Or is there a vice mayor? Like, are you on duty 24/7?
No.
How's that work?
The mayor's job in Harrodsburg, because we have a city commission form of government, the mayor is one of 5 votes. We have 4 commissioners and a mayor.
Okay.
My main responsibility is to oversee City Hall, which includes the water department and the city clerk, the deputy city clerk. City Hall does a lot of things. We collect taxes, we pay bills, we pay payroll. You cannot imagine how many checks in 1 week this crooked hand signs.
Really?
So I sign a lot of checks.
Still hand signing the checks.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
And we have 2 signatures on every check. So it's either me and one of the commissioners or me and the city clerk. But it's seems to be always me. But so I don't, other than chair the meetings, the commission meetings, and get 1 vote if I need it. I rarely do I vote unless it's a tie.
Right.
And so far we haven't had any ties. But the mayor's job is not full-time.
Okay. So you can go on vacation. Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can't go on vacation if there's a city commission meeting. But if I wanted to, I could, because Scott Mosley, who is the commissioner over the police and fire department, he is mayor pro tem. So if I'm not there, he takes over.
Well, that answers. So there's kind of we would call it vice mayor, but it's somebody that could.
Mayor pro tem.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm not there, he runs the meetings.
Okay. Awesome.
And I have good commissioners. They're all good commissioners. We don't always agree, but we're always able to talk.
Right.
And we usually can come to a consensus.
Good.
Did you have any like surprises as mayor? Like just something like come up that you wouldn't expect?
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be an easy job, but for some reason, if there's trash in the street or grass that needs to be cut or a drain that's not draining, they want to talk to the mayor. And I have 20, 30 voicemails every week when I go into the office. I get a lot of phone calls from 6:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night. Eventually at night, when it's bedtime, I turn my phone off and go upstairs. But it's nothing unreasonable. People want to, it's just like being in business. I've been in business all my life. Everybody wants to talk to the boss. If you got a problem, you want to see the boss. Even if you don't have a problem, maybe you want to brag about something. They want to brag to the boss. And so it's just part of, it's just part of the job. And I'm glad to do it. I asked for this, so I can't fuss about it too much. But it's rewarding when we do accomplish something as a team. It really makes you feel good. And we have challenges with employees because we're Harrodsburg. We don't have a big pot full of money. We lose employees sometimes to. We get them trained, we get them where they're running like a well-oiled machine, and then somebody offers them a job and they're gone. That's probably our biggest problem. And as is all businesses, employees are I don't want to say all employees are problems. Employment is a problem. today, again, when I was growing up, drugs was not an issue. But today, everybody drug tests, and it amazes me, even in the banking industry, it amazed me that when you finally got somebody who you thought could do the job, and you send them for a drug test and they fail, you can't hire them. And it's kind of that way with city and county and state, federal, as well as private business.
Yeah.
Drugs is a big issue. That's another one of the things that if it was on my wish list, I wish we didn't have drugs in Mercer County, but we do, and it's just something we have to deal with. And I've known a lot of kids in my life that were drug addicts, and they rose above that. They came out of that, and I'm really proud of those people because it's not easy.
No, it's definitely not. Art, what's the best perk? Somebody wanted, actually, you'll laugh at this maybe. One of my students asked when the limousine was coming they thought maybe you were coming in a limousine or getting escorted here. And I said, I'm not sure what the perks are for the mayor. Maybe free coffee or something. What's the best part? The best part about being
the best part of being
mayor.
Best part of being mayor is working with the people.
Okay.
Not just the citizens, but the employees.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good staff at City Hall. We have a good staff at the street department. We have a good police department. We have a good fire department. We have a good water department. We have a good sewer treatment plant bunch. We have good people. And the city runs well. Not because of me. It was running well when I got there. And to give Mayor Long some credit, he and his commission took the city from a very poor financial situation to a very good financial situation. And all of the infrastructure improvements that have been made over the past 10, 20 years, we have a water and sewer system that we could double the capacity of right now. So we could bring more factories to town. We have, if we're short somewhere, it's our police department. And it's because we have a hard time paying cops what they deserve.
Right.
And they deserve a lot. We have good cops. We have a very young police force. We have a great chief and an assistant chief, both of whom are well experienced. The previous chief of police is a close friend of mine. And so that's, I bounce stuff off of him all the time because he's very wise and very smart. And he retired. And then Brian Allen took his place. And Brian's a good guy. I think he's good. I think he knows what his policemen need. And I feel bad that we can't give him everything he needs.
I think we've experienced that here. We had 3 resource officers, one for each school last year, and I think we lost actually all 3 this year, just because of those same things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
we've got a small police force. We need to double it probably. We need twice as many as we have. I'm not sure how I felt about the police and the fire moving out to the new building out on North 127.
That's a question we talked about.
It's a great building, and I'm happy for them that they've got a good facility to be housed in. Of course, the fire department still is at the old fire station. They kind of split. But all of our cops now are out on the north end of town, and I see them patrolling North 127 and South 127. I see them in town. I just don't see them in town as much as I like.
Right.
When I was young, we had a cop that walked downtown every day. Of course, he wrote parking tickets. He checked parking meters. We don't have any parking meters anymore. But I miss that downtown walking beat because people respect the cops when they're downtown.
Right.
A lot of the, I don't want to call them riffraff, but I will because that's just the way I am. A lot of the riffraff that hangs out downtown, they would not be as plentiful as they were. Do you know we have 160-something homeless people in Harrodsburg?
No, I did not. But I knew that this is a growing trend.
That just amazes
for
me.
us and probably everywhere.
That amazes me. And I shouldn't say this because I'm certainly not an expert, but most of it is related to drugs. They can't make a living if they're on drugs.
Right.
And I know they're probably getting some kind of government assistance, but they just move from place to place. And they
160. Wow.
Yeah.
That's way
what I
more
was
than
told.
thought.
They have a fear. These people have a fear because they have, they're homeless. It's kind of a culture, and I know they move around, but some of them have a cell phone. They don't want to lose that. That's their only connection.
Right.
Some of them have drugs. Most of them do. They don't want to lose them because that's their medicine. And some of them may have firearms, and they don't want to lose that because that's their only protection.
Right.
And so when it got really cold back in the winter, we opened up Lions Park and made it a warming shelter for anybody who needed a warming shelter.
I did not know that.
And I and Scott and others gave the police department specific instructions. We don't want these people arrested unless they do something bad. Don't arrest them. If you go by Lions Park to check and everything's cool, leave. Don't question anybody. Don't search anybody. Don't arrest them just because they're there. We had restaurants volunteering to take breakfast down to them, including Beaumont Inn.
Wow.
And not a single person showed up at the warming shelter because they were afraid.
Wow.
They were afraid if they went there, there'd be a trap. There'd be something that
Right.
would, take them into custody,
Right.
or take their stuff away from them, or whatever they had. And that's kind of sad. And, I don't know that we're equipped to handle 160-something homeless people, but there's a men's group at the Harrisburg Baptist Church that really works hard to try to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been impressed with what they do, and I hope they will continue to do it. And maybe if we can change the culture and the reputation, maybe we can get these homeless people, some warmth and some food. And I wish we had a place to house them.
Well, I'm sure you've heard a lot of the over the last 6 months about the treatment facilities that
Yeah.
have wanted to come into town. I think that there was one that they brought in over there at the old Harrodsburg High School. There was a lot of talk about that, and then there's been talk about this. Has that been something that people have come to you and said, we need more of those in our town, or have there been a lot of people who come and say, not in my backyard, we need to put them somewhere else? Has that been a fight? that
Well,
you've
we've had a few, of course, who are
Mhm.
familiar with Isaiah House, which is a great organization,
Right.
and they do a wonderful job. We've had a few of those supporters of Isaiah House, and I shouldn't say a few, we've had a lot that say, you really need to let these people come in here.
Mhm.
They're in the county, but our planning and zoning laws in the city don't allow for those conditional use permits to be established in either residential or B2 districts, which would be my neighborhood, Chestnut Street. They wanted to buy some property on Chestnut Street to house kind of a halfway house type deal.
Mhm.
The problem with getting that done is that the majority of people in residential neighborhoods, they don't want treatment
They're afraid of that,
facilities.
yeah.
They're just afraid of it. And my experience with Isaiah House, and I haven't had any direct, but I have friends who have had much experience with Isaiah House. They do a wonderful job.
Yes.
And I've got friends that work for Isaiah House.
Mhm.
I've got some friends that are reformed drug addicts that
Right.
still are reformed and work for Isaiah House.
Right.
And they do such a great job. And there's no doubt that we don't need drug treatment help,
Mhm.
both getting you off of drugs, getting you transitioned into the workforce. And Isaiah House does a magnificent job at that.
We've had several speakers from Isaiah House. In fact,
Yeah.
we opened last year where they had a couple of speakers come in and talk to our kids. So yeah, we've had some really positive experiences.
Well, here's the problem. When you
As
think
well.
about putting a halfway house or even a drug treatment facility in a place like, on the same block as an apartment complex or residential neighborhood or a drugstore
Mhm.
or a grocery store, people kind of kick about that.
Right.
And most people think that if they have one in their neighborhood, their property values are going to go down.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think that, but I couldn't tell you that it won't happen.
Gotcha.
So I try to stay out of that fight. I try to be neutral.
Mm-hmm.
If the citizens want it, the citizens can have it.
Right.
But if they don't want it, it's going to be hard to accomplish.
Okay.